Lumos. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Shelf Guys Radio. I'm your host and secret keeper, Ezra, a.k.a. Bill, also known as Throws of the Watchful History of Magic Professor, the Flannel Wizard, obviously. Yours truly, me. Please welcome your lovely design witch, the fascination of this year, Triwizard Champion herself, and my wonderful co-host and yours, Lottie, a.k.a. Fleur.
Hallo und einen wunderschönen guten Tag. It's so good to have you back to our beautiful little cottage on the outskirts of Tinworth. Kommt rein und macht's euch gemütlich. Welcome to episode 95, in which we discuss Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This week, we'll talk about chapter 16, the Goblet of Fire. We'll give you a quick life update with our homemade cottage ketchup, feed our brains with important trivia knowledge, and then dive head on into our chapter summary audio experience. And friends, we are getting ready to go to Kent next weekend.
Yeah.
And what is in Kent?
Well, in Kent, there's this little festival. It is called Wizarding. What's it called again?
Wizardly Weekend.
It's called Wizarding
Kent.
stuff. Okay, it's just a place to go.
Something with magic.
Something with Magic Weekend. All right. Wizardly Weekend of Kent. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And we're gonna see our friends from Swish and Flick there. They're definitely gonna be there in the Artist Alley, or as they call it, not the Forbidden Forest.
Whoa, are they going to be there?
The vendor village, of course. So there is going to be tons of vendors, and they have some other fun stuff. For example, the run that shall not be named.
Yeah.
Wobbly Wizard Bar Crawl, some magical movie night, some mini golf, wizardly themed cookie class, Mandrake Workshop. I think that's cool.
That sounds cool. Yep.
Adult Potions class.
Really? That sounds really cool.
That's on Saturday. 4 to 6 p.m.
Adult potions class. Is that like mixing your own beverage?
Yes.
Sweet.
Potions. Magical potions.
Sorry, magical.
Okay.
My bad. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, sounds good. Sounds really good. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun time. So we'll be heading up there when you guys hear this episode. Should be like 1 or 2 days afterwards. We'll be up there in Kent. So we'll take some photos.
Yes.
Check the old social media.
Yeah.
I'll be posting up there, and it should be a good time. I've always enjoyed going up there, and the traffic's crazy. Parking's nuts, is what it is. I was there, I think the second year, or maybe the third, I don't even know, that they had it. And I just remember going up there and had just met really Megan and Katie, and they're like, we need help. And I was like, okay. They're like, you're a teacher.
They gave you a job.
Yeah, you seem like a trustworthy person. Tiffany vouches for you. Take our money and go exchange it. I'm like, okay.
Take our money and run.
What? They're like, just gave me this pocket full of money, and they're like, we need you to go make change with this at the bank. And I'm like, well, how much is in here? A lot.
Disclosed information.
Disclosed information. And I was like, okay, sure. This
no,
booth,
wait,
and there
disclosed
was just
means it's disclosed. It's
what's the opposite of disclosed?
It's what do they always say?
Classified
information. Disclosed means everybody knows.
I just thought,
Disclosed, so it's not closed, but it's disclosed, so it's open.
Well, we messed up. I'm sorry. Well, it's secret, okay? Why do we have to use big words? We don't have to use big words on this podcast. But yeah, so we did that, and it was a lot of fun, and they were just overwhelmed. There were so many people there.
Yeah, they didn't expect it.
There weren't a lot of vendors, and it was a great time. So.
This year, it looks like they have tons of them, but I don't know what's a lot. I've never been to the location, so I don't know if that is a lot for the location or not. It looks like we probably have like 50 vendors. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
Maybe I'm lying.
Maybe you're just making it up because you're on a podcast and you're on the fly.
Maybe 40. About 40.
Okay, cool.
10, 20. Yeah, looks like it. Cool. And their names are so fun. Like Swish and Flick. The Artful Pixie. What else? Cloak and Saber.
Cool.
That sounds promising.
Yeah. Let's go check that out.
Okay, moving on. I don't know how to tell jokes, but I heard that Bill is a jokester. Because are you wondering where Fred and George get all that from?
What other? Oh, you mean Bill Weasley jokesters? In the actual story? Sometimes you trip me out, like what do you mean? I taught Fred and George, okay, Bill Weasley in the story.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, trip me up. Yeah. So probably, they got their jokes from the older brothers, guaranteed. Probably inappropriate jokes. This one though, just to kind of get us rolling here, get us started, get us woke up a little bit. I asked ChatGPT to give me a joke.
How dare you?
I know. So here's a joke.
Yeah.
From ChatGPT, and I actually only chose to read this because I think it might make Lottie laugh. So, because her sense of humor is totally different, and it's very unique. I think maybe it's a German thing. I don't know. Anyway, the Harry Potter series, it's great and all, but have you ever wondered about the logistics of some of the spells? Like, for example, take Alohomora, for instance.
Yes.
It's supposed to unlock doors, right?
Yeah.
So I'm picturing Harry Potter in a panic, trying to escape from a locked room, yelling, Alohomora! And then there's nothing, right? Just nothing.
Okay.
All right. And that's because turns out that there's a door and there's a sticky note or a little sign that says, push to open.
Oh, no.
So dumb. Sorry. So dumb. It's just that simple kind of humor that I think you might think is funny. I don't know.
Oh,
sorry.
no,
I'm sorry.
poor
I'm sorry.
Harry.
Sorry. He's saying Alohomora at the door, and it just says push to open. So dumb. ChatGPT, you're so ridiculous. All right. But thank you.
That was slightly funny.
Yeah. Okay. You ready for this? Why did Harry Potter get pulled over for speeding? Huh? Anything? No.
Because he's fast as lightning.
No, because he didn't expect no patrolman.
Oh.
It's dumb. These are just so dumb. But I think they kind of make me chuckle. So
I expect no patrol.
anyway, why is herbology Slytherin students' favorite class? Why is herbology
Because
Slytherin students' favorite class?
there's very dangerous plants they can use on their enemies.
Because it's in the greenhouse. It's in
Yeah.
the greenhouse.
I get it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. These are just it's great. It's all right. That's enough. Moving on. It's been good around the cottage. Things have been good. Okay. Getting stuff done. By the way, I want to mention to folks some updates here on the show. We do have the 9 theories.
9, guys.
9
not
theories.
7. Not 5.
Right.
Not 3.
9.
Not me.
Right. Jiminy. Okay. What's wrong with us today?
Not Hermione.
No, yeah. Well, okay.
9.
9.
Okay.
9 theories. How did that get you on that line of
know.
thought? Anyway, there are 9 theories about Dumbledore versus Grindelwald, how it all went down. And I did a little YouTube video over, it's like 16 minutes. I'm actually going to drop it here for patrons, just the audio version, so you guys can listen to it. And then after this episode, let me think. Actually, I think by the time you guys hear this episode, it will be up. So it should
There you
already
go.
be there. Yeah, because I always have to think about when you're editing.
Let us know what you think then.
Yeah, so we posted that. And then we'll also have up there for you guys the audio experience from Sorcerer's Stone. So we're going through and we're
Yes.
actually pulling out all the chapter summaries.
Making
and we're going
them
to
really nice.
Yeah, nice and clean and
Sound
neat.
nice.
And we're going to make some summary videos out of them over on YouTube. But we thought we'd go ahead and drop those as a fun little audio experience, just if you wanted to listen to all of the chapter summaries that are polished with music and with sound effects. Like Lottie went back and went crazy with some of the stuff we did anyways, right, for Sorcerer's Stone.
Yes.
And she continues to knock it out of the park with all of the audio experience editing. And I love it. It's a lot of fun. I love listening to them after you're done with them. So.
And in case right before the show comes out, you need a little reminder of what happened. I'm sure you guys are all you know what happened. But if you just
Lottie's talking to me, guys, because I'm going to need a reminder. What happened in the series? Ron
who's
Hermione.
peeves?
Anyway, sorry, but the point is that, yes, she's doing great. They're up there for reminders for folks, and I think you guys are going to like them. So we're dropping some of those audio experiences and some extra, really just the longer videos that I do on YouTube. We'll drop those over on Patreon just for extra content, just for things, people who support the show. So we thank you guys a lot. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
There we go. That was a little extra cottage ketchup, a little mustard mixed in with the ketchup there. And what's next on the dock?
On the list is our trivia training.
What were you? Are you gonna sing? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna make the gong. sound.
Oh, I thought you started to sing the song Come On. Like I thought you were saying something. Yeah, that's what I heard. And I have the headphones on and I'm listening to your voice right in these ears. And I thought you said like, yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. You said you were dreading this one? Why?
I'm dreading this one just because I am. Does this show feel weird to you? Do I feel off?
No.
Doesn't it feel? Are you guys sensing this in the audio experience? Let me know. Sometimes like we're recording, and I know Lottie does some stuff in post edit, which is interesting. But there's times where I'm recording and I just don't want to stop talking.
Which is great.
And I just
it's
hog
a podcast.
I hog the microphone and I just deviate and take an aside, and I don't even know why I do it.
People love that.
Why do I do that?
I love it.
It just don't make any sense.
Because, sometimes
Anyway.
when you don't talk as much out there with people as we sometimes...
You guys don't know this. You guys don't know this, but Lottie does, like,
quiet.
if we're not on the podcast, she's like, shh, quiet. Like, she just needs her quiet. And so, like, this is the time where she's like, okay, you can talk. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But,
how have you been? That's
what's
why
up,
we do the catch up, because we don't talk to each other.
how's it been over there at that computer of yours? How's the art going? What's
Well,
up?
sometimes days go by and we just are in front of our
That's
computers
true.
working away.
That's true. It actually
Because
took
we're working
me...
on so much, and it's just...
Yeah.
It's
We're
fun.
having fun, though, building...
Yeah.
Honestly, building out some fun things. Like, I'm having fun doing my Star Wars channel, so Yoda Stew's been great.
Yes.
And making theory videos over there. And then also building out the Shell Cottage Radio YouTube channel now.
You're doing such a fantastic job.
Yeah, I think it's like we went back and forth in terms of just trying to make it like separate from the show. We weren't really sure when we first started, did we want it to be a part of this or keep them separate? And now it's just like, no, actually, I think there's a lot of, obviously they're both Harry Potter, but
Yes.
in my head when I grew up doing podcasting, I just kept them all separate. I kept like, all right, YouTube is different than a podcast and blah, blah, blah. But now I'm like, all right, post a podcast on YouTube, just different things. So if you guys have wondered about the evolution of that has been my mindset is like, that is just all the same. Just post it all together and make it all one big project.
And, we are always open to make changes in the future. If we find out it hurts one or the other project that we post over there or over here, then we'll change it. It's just comes
for sure.
down to trial and error. That's what we have to go through right now. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was about to explain to you why I was dreading this
Trivia.
And it's essentially because, I don't know if you guys notice, sometimes when we're doing trivia, how Lottie gets a little, like last episode, I don't know if you guys noticed this, she got a little prickly. Like a little cactus. Like a little prickly cactus. Like your defense mechanisms are coming up. Like, oh yeah, we're just asking another question about dates and years and numbers, huh? Oh yeah, 355. Who was that? I don't even know. And then what was the other one I asked? Like 17. I don't even know.
when was the last
Triwizard Tournament.
Well, that we exactly know a date of.
Right.
Not
and
the real last one. But
do I even know? No. I don't remember.
No, I know. It's just a learning experience.
It's just a learning experience, guys. So this one, for me, is also one of those things where it's just a learning experience. Don't get mad. Don't get upset. Okay?
Yeah.
It's just meant to be kind of funny. So, in this chapter, and I like to do ones that are relevant to the chapter, who is the disgusting boy, according to Karkaroff? Who does Karkaroff call a disgusting, quote, disgusting boy? You disgusting boy. Sorry, I laughed out loud.
Yes.
The only reason I laughed out loud because this was ridiculous. I'm like, what are you? He's so biased. I know. The problem is that Lottie will actually try to answer it.
Let me channel Karkaroff for a second.
She just tries to answer it, and I'm like, you don't have to actually answer this.
Bouillabaisse.
What'd you say?
Sometimes.
Bless you.
No, wait.
It's if you channel.
Wait.
Oh, excuse me.
Karkaroff says, "You disgust me." Borokov, Boryanokov.
Very close.
Oh my gosh, something with
Very
cough.
close. Polyakov.
Was
Wow,
close.
that was good.
That was
Dude,
close.
what is it? You have a. That's something not weird.
I
I'm
just
sorry.
thought it was.
God, did I just call you weird?
No, it's
out
okay.
loud on this podcast.
I agree.
Yeah, how do you channel that? Like it's a little.
I do.
You
Well,
channel information.
I just remember it was significant that there was a name dropped besides Krum's name
Right.
for the.
Yeah, this
Durmstrang
guy
boys, or
actually
guys,
has a
people.
wiki page.
Oh, really?
Polyakov possessed poor manners, being a sloppy eater who dribbled food down his robes despite being in the company of 2 foreign schools. Uh,
I like him.
I like him too, man. I was like, he was.
He wants some mulled wine.
Professor, what's up, man? Like, he's the kid asking without any like. There's no embarrassment. He's just sort of like,
yeah.
What's up? Do I
get some wine or?
Yeah, we passed that out. Why does Victor get it? Like, why can't we all have some? I mean, it's just like, well, I have those students who. There might somebody's getting something special because they're sick or they're hurt or whatever. And it's like, well, can I take a nap too? Like, I'm not feeling good. You're like,
plus you're thinking Karkaroff already selected the best of the best from his whole school.
Yeah.
I mean, from his older students, I guess.
Right.
But still, he must be a pretty good student. I don't know. Otherwise, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Or.
Yeah.
Or
he did the opposite.
Karkaroff took not so talented students with him, so Krum would get into the tournament.
Right. Karkaroff is trying to increase the enrollment at Durmstrang, and so he wants this. This is a publicity stunt. This is literally to say there are witches and wizards who, like you've mentioned, in those countries, there's this weird region, right, where it's like, if you live in Germany, could you go to Bobaton? Could you go to Durmstrang because it's up in the at Scandinavia, whatever? I mean, is it a thing? Is he trying to say, hey, Victor Krum's super famous. He was also the Triwizard champion.
Yeah.
This is where we kind of teach this is what we do here.
Okay. Let's change the topic here from.
Yeah, give me a question.
Can you see when I highlight something in the doc?
I'm not even looking in the doc.
But can you?
I literally do these shows blind.
Yes.
Folded. You guys.
You
Come
do
check
actually,
the video
but
version.
Can you help me and tell me if you see when I highlight something in here?
Let me look. I'm gonna go on. So Skeeving snack boxes were at.
Wait, you can see the highlight?
Yeah, I can see it when you highlight it. Yeah.
Okay, then don't look.
I'm not looking.
I know you're not looking, but for next time I know not to do that. Okay. The Weasley twins. The Weasley twins are important in this chapter because they're trying to get across the age line, but we know that they are working on their joke products to release and test them next year during their final year at Hogwarts. One of them are the skiving snack boxes. During which year did they develop an early prototype for this product?
During which school year?
Which year did they? Yeah, you can say either their school year or give me a year if that's better for you. But during which year did they develop an early prototype for this product?
An early prototype.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. I think it was in Harry's second year, which would have been their third year. Am I right about that?
Almost.
This year? It's this year.
So first of all, I think when Harry is in his first year, that's the twins' third year.
You're right.
But you're still not correct.
So it's the twins' fourth year.
No.
It's their fifth year.
No.
Wait a second. It's their sixth year. It's this year.
No.
It's the first. I don't know.
So skiving snack boxes were a range of sweets that made the consumer appear ill. They were among the many products developed by Fred and George and sold at their joke shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. The user developed various symptoms depending on the type of snack box eaten, or the type of snack, I guess. The main purpose of these snacks was to enable students to get out of lessons you don't want to be in. And most types came in double-ended, so you have a color-coded part, one half that makes you ill, and the other one would cure the student.
Right.
So Fred and George developed early prototypes for the skiving snack boxes in their second year of Hogwarts in 1990.
Wow.
Which fellow Gryffindor J. Kim took from their rooms and looked at them or saw them. This is actually from Hogwarts Mystery.
I knew it.
And I thought we could learn something here, that they were already developing these sweets when they were only in their second year.
Yeah, actually, that whole game is very interesting, and there's some really... I'm even using it in some of the theory videos that I'm working on right now, because there's information that Jacob's sibling, is that who you play as, right?
That's the player. You give them a name, so that's why they always say Jacob's sibling.
Right.
Because whatever you give it, whichever name it is.
It's us, guys. We all have a sibling named Jacob. But yeah, in there's a lot of interesting things. Like Bill Weasley at one point comes to Hogwarts.
So many characters.
Yeah,
I know.
and you get to meet a lot of cool people.
I have thought about making a video on what is the story in Hogwarts Mystery. Just like basic story.
Yeah, the cursed
not every
vaults people don't know about.
detail, but like, yeah, that'd be fun. Because it's always on, like you said, it's always on the wiki. There is some considered canon. You know, it's canon, just like Hogwarts Legacy. It's
Portkey
the same.
Games.
Yep, it's Portkey Games. So yeah, it is official.
I like it.
All right, let's get our second trivia question in.
Let's get down to trivia.
And my color is blau.
Okay.
Like Beauxbatons.
Uh-huh. Here we are. After his death, who succeeds Dumbledore as headmaster of Hogwarts?
First, it's Professor... Oh, that's tricky. I think it's first Professor McGonagall. And then it's later on Snape. So first... this
is from the films.
So are you saying I should say it's Professor Snape?
Yes.
Ding,
ding, ding, ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
You're right. Deputy headmistress,
McGonagall is...
takes over for Snape.
Yeah,
she's also in the hospital, too, for a little bit there.
True, because she took how many stunning spells?
Yeah. A lot. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the trivia question for later.
That's a
how
good
many?
question, though. It's kind of tricky.
Yay.
Oh. Is that green?
I can't see. It's green.
Harry practices the Patronus charm on what type of creature in Professor Lupin's office?
A boggart.
A boggart.
Yay! We get some right, you guys. Sometimes we get the easy like film ones right, so it's good. Okay.
Wait, so how many points did we each get? We got both of these right.
Right.
And the other ones we both got wrong.
Right.
So we got 17 versus 17.
Dun 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 dun.
Is it my turn or is it your turn to read?
I think it's your turn.
Okay.
Isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I read last time.
I think so too.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's get into the chapter summary. I felt like the when you start Clone Wars and they do the radio announcer.
Yeah. They're like on Camino, the Separatists have started their attack. Oh,
yeah, that's what I felt like. Okay.
It's good.
Chapter 16, The Goblet of Fire. Ron and some others are absolutely thrilled as they spot Victor Krum among the Durmstrang students that have just arrived at Hogwarts. Hermione tells Ron to calm down and reminds him that Krum is only a Quidditch player. But Ron doesn't want to hear it, and when they enter the Great Hall, he desperately tries to get Krum and his friends to sit at the Gryffindor table. They decide to sit with the Slytherins, however, and Ron, bursting with jealousy, can't bear watching Malfoy talk to Krum. The Durmstrang students seem impressed by the magnificence of Hogwarts Castle, while the Beauxbatons students, who have found seats at the Ravenclaw table, are still shivering in their light robes. Harry watches Filch add 4 chairs at the staff table and wonders who else besides Karkaroff and Madam Maxime is going to join them. Dumbledore gives a short welcome speech and announces that he will officially open the tournament after dinner. And with this, the tables magically fill up with food. Some of the plates contain foreign dishes Ron and Harry have never seen before. The trio notices that Hagrid enters the Great Hall, and while they're asking him about the blast-ended Scroots, a girl from Beauxbaton with silvery blonde hair and deep blue eyes has approached their table. She asks Ron if she could take the southern French seafood stew over to their table. Ron is mesmerized by her villa-like charm, and Harry has to answer for him. Hermione snaps at them, pointing out that the 2 additional guests have just arrived, Barty Crouch and Ludo Bagman. Once they finish dessert, Dumbledore rises again to introduce the 2 ministry officials. He explains that they have played a huge role in organizing the event and will function as judges in the Triwizard Tournament, along with Karkaroff, Madam Maxime, and Dumbledore himself. There will be 3 tasks scattered throughout the school year, each of which will test the abilities, skills, and nerves of the 3 champions. Dumbledore then has Filch bring forth an ancient-looking chest containing the Goblet of Fire, the neutral judge that will select the champions for the tournament. Students who wish to compete have 24 hours to submit their names, with a strict age minimum of 17. Dumbledore ensures that students younger than 17 cannot enter their name by putting a magical age line around the goblet. The headmaster urges each student to carefully make their decision because once a name is chosen, that student enters a binding contract with the Goblet of Fire and has to see the tournament through until the very end. And with that warning, he dismisses everyone to bed. As the Durmstrang students leave the hall to return to their ship for the night, Karkaroff accidentally runs into Harry. But after taking a second look at him, He stops dead in his tracks and glares at him, his gaze wandering up to Harry's forehead. Mad-Eye Moody limps over to break up the awkward situation, as now all Durmstrang students are staring at Harry. Karkaroff is visibly intimidated by Moody's presence. The air is filled with tension as the two stare at each other in disgust. Then Karkaroff walks away with his students following behind him. The next morning, students eagerly submit their names into the Goblet of Fire. The trio witnesses Fred George and Lee Jordan come in, full of confidence that they're going to trick the age line with their aging potion. But their attempt backfires, and before Lee Jordan can follow Fred and George across the age line, the twins are being thrown out of the circle. They have started to grow long white beards, causing much laughter. Even Dumbledore joins in as he enters the Great Hall. He advises them to go to the hospital wing, where Madame Pomfrey is already tending to students who have tried to trick the age line as well. Harry, Ron, and Hermione find the Great Hall beautifully decorated for Halloween and join the Gryffindor table for breakfast. Everyone is discussing potential Hogwarts champions from the different houses, including Cedric Diggory from Hufflepuff and Gryffindor chaser Angelina Johnson. After breakfast, the trio decides to visit Hagrid. Right before they leave the castle, they watch the Beauxbaton students, accompanied by their headmistress, enter their names into the goblet. The Beauxbaton delegation walks towards Hagrid's hut too, as their giant carriage is parked near the gamekeeper's cottage. At the door, they are greeted by the half-giant, who is awkwardly dressed up and in high spirits. Because the three haven't actually visited Hagrid yet this school year, they end up spending almost the entire day at his hut, talking about the tournament, champions, and SPEW. Hermione is disappointed that even Hagrid is convinced that house elves are happy working without getting any compensation. Around 5 o'clock, they are getting ready to leave for the Halloween feast. Hagrid is acting strange, however, and he goes outside to wash off after putting on too much cologne. The trio watches him through the window as he completely forgets about them and joins Madam Maxime and the Beauxbaton students on their way up to the castle. They suspect he must have a crush on the French headmistress. The kids see themselves out and hurry up to the feast. The entire school is waiting impatiently for dinner to end as they anticipate the selection of the champions. Finally, the plates clear and Dumbledore stands up. He dims most of the candles until the Goblet of Fire itself becomes the main source of light in the hall. And it spits out one name after the other. First, Victor Krum as the Durmstrang champion, then Fleur Delacour as the Beauxbaton champion, and lastly, Cedric Diggory as the Hogwarts champion. Dumbledore is delighted and gives some final advice on how the rest of the students can support their school's champion throughout the tournament. He's interrupted, however, as suddenly and unexpectedly the goblet produces a fourth piece of parchment with a name on it. Dumbledore takes it, reads it, and then stares at the paper for a while until he announces the final name selected by the goblet. Harry Potter. Harry Potter!
Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? I mean,
most iconic scene on the internet.
Yeah, wow. He asked calmly. Calmly he asked.
Wow.
But
I mean,
oh boy.
Reading is hard.
Reading's hard. Great job. Great job, by the way. So, guys, again, as we go through the chapter, I've taken some very detailed notes, and I would like to share those with you guys. Lottie did a great job reading, and I'd like to just kind of jump. Did you read last chapter now that I'm thinking about it? Maybe you did. I don't even know. No, I think it was me.
No, I think it was you.
All right, cool. Anyway, so moving on to the notes. First bullet point here is Krum is only a Quidditch player. Like, what's the hype on this guy?
Right? It's like when you're not into soccer or football, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone geeks out and you have no clue. You're just like, oh, that's just a person.
What's the big deal?
Yeah, what's the big deal? And
that could be anything. The scientist walks by, right? He just figured out, some quantum space mechanics. You're like, so what, dude? I'm gonna go get a cheeseburger, man. Like, sounds good. Like,
now that you mention it, though, I wonder if Hermione would have a similar moment like Ron does if one of her heroes in one of her books would walk up.
Whoa, Lockhart.
Right?
I mean, straight up,
there you go.
Lockhart walked in. She's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
God.
He's this. She loves to read.
Between my teeth.
You're right. She loves to read. So
yeah.
Lockhart shows up with all these books. Here you go, Hermione.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read all my books? All right. That a girl.
And
no. Jiminy. She's acing his quiz.
Hilarious.
But Yeah, so I know. Yeah, he's just a Quidditch player. But going back to the conversation where Karkaroff is sort of like, maybe we need to sort of raise the enrollment, and we have a famous Quidditch player. Let's use it to our advantage.
Right.
So now it is a bit nuts. Some of the girls here, they have they're basically running around like, do you have a quill? Do you have your lipstick? We think you would sign this in lipstick. And I bet you Ron's sitting there like, can I borrow the lipstick afterwards?
Yeah. After you're done.
Can you guys? I mean, whatever it takes, right? So yeah,
I thought it was funny
crazy.
that lipstick is mentioned at Hogwarts. Hogwarts is this older castle where you don't really hear a lot about modern things in the castle, and even the students, they don't have a phone, they don't have all these modern technologies.
Yeah, this is the 90s,
and they're
ancient times.
Their makeup,
Right.
Can you imagine? We never hear about what's happening in the bathroom besides. I mean, what am I saying? Besides moaning Myrtle. But like how sometimes you would describe, okay, Harry just went into the bathroom and brushed his teeth, and there he thought about something.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Lottie's like, we never get any of those intimate moments when the characters are like brushing their teeth, going to the bathroom, doing their hair and makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. No, I think it is interesting. Yeah, that there's lipstick, and that there's that it wasn't mentioned that it's some sort of magical product, but I guess you just need something in the moment to kind of. It's funny because it's like you can still.
Isn't Lockhart trying to make or create some sort of hair product?
Yeah, the Harry Potters, right? Or the Harry Potters, the Potters. They have their own.
Yeah, the Harry Potters.
Yeah, the Harry Potters. Yeah, man.
What are you saying?
They have their own magical hair products. Right, that's how they made a lot of their money.
They did.
Taming that crazy hair.
Yeah, one of his great grandfathers, or
right.
Yeah.
So, that's an interesting one. But yeah, I was thinking actually about the time when I showed up. I don't know if you guys know this on the pod. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but I met Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Have I mentioned that on this podcast?
I don't know.
I don't know if I have. People will be like, "What?" Hold the phone. Yeah, I met her. And got to go backstage, meet her with my buddy Mike. It was pretty crazy. But we're going back there, and I had no idea that there was such a thing as the tea party.
Yeah.
I had no clue. And honestly, no offense to Taylor, but at the time, my buddy was the big T-Swift fan.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, we got to go. I got a ticket. Let's go. A couple butterbeers were up there with their flannel shirts. And next thing you know, I thought we're getting kicked out. Security comes over and says, hey, you guys want to come backstage and meet, like, Taylor? And I'm like, I get, yeah. My buddy just almost passed out. So we're going back. So I imagine he is like the Ron Weasley in the situation where he's just goggling over like Krum and then later Fleur. And so we go back there, and I'm like, I got nothing.
Pulled out your lipstick.
Yeah, thankfully she actually provided the Sharpie. That was very nice.
Oh, okay.
But there's nothing to sign, right? And these moms, bless their hearts. These mothers were there with all their young daughters. All had stuff to sign. Like, we have extra stuff if you need it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's all right. I'm good. And then I was like, man, I wish I would have grabbed like something.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I mean, really for my buddy, it was like a big moment. And I was like, you obviously starstruck. You're like, whoa, dude, that's Taylor Swift. What's up? And it was cool. Gave her a hug. I actually don't know if she's ever, I think she listens to Harry Potter podcast. So if she's listening, shout out. What's up, Taylor? Love all your music. And her heel got caught in the carpet. There was shag carpet. And she was putting her arm around me to, like, get the photo. She's going to stand between me and my buddy.
Yeah.
And her heel gets caught in the carpet. She starts to fall. Now, I caught her, and the security guy, grabbed me by the shirt and was like, and I'm like, dude, she's
like, no, ready to tackle you.
I'm like, dude, it was like literally like 3 seconds. I mean, he barely, like, I came out of nowhere. I didn't even see this dude beforehand. But anyways, yeah.
That's kind of creepy.
It was a crazy story, though. I mean, I literally just was like, she almost fell. And then she said to her mom, she's like, we got to get rid of this shag carpet in here.
Yeah.
Especially the heels. It was bad. Why did I tell that story? Because they're all fanboying, fangirling over these different
individuals,
celebs, and the Vila charm that's going
on
here. So
I love how Hermione is so annoyed by the Beauxbaton students being a bit uptight and also all the fuss about Krum and everything. She's just like, it's not that cold in here.
Right.
You know, because they're all like, oh gosh, she still has her
Right.
muffler on. Is that like a hat with like
Earmuffs.
earmuffs?
Yeah.
No, those are earmuffs. What is a muffler?
I don't know.
Because Fleur, this whole time, you
She's wearing
can't
a
see
muffler.
her hair until she literally walks up to them to ask for the stew.
Okay.
What is a muffler? Because I thought it was earmuffs.
Muffliato, you know? Maybe it's something she wears on her face. No idea.
Muffler hat. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. It's one of these hats that has like longer, elongated earpieces, right?
Okay.
And she was wearing it the whole time. That's why her hair was covered by it. I think it's ridiculous too. So just supporting Hermione here in her, because you get a little defensive, right? You get a little defensive over, this is your school. Like, why do you even? You didn't have to come here if you don't like it.
Doesn't she say that? I think
yes, she does.
Somebody says like you can go back. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she laughs at something that Dumbledore says, and she gets annoyed by it. And I get it, because if you don't want to have a new, different experience, and you're just here to mock us, and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's a moment though where everybody's seeing like new guest students, and I kind of remember the idea of when you did like a school field trip and you saw other kids, and you're like, wait, this is our group, and that's a new group.
Yeah.
That happened for us. We had 5 elementary schools here, and we would go to like a joint concert where like the high school orchestra team was going to come down and like perform or something. We're going to watch something together, and we're rolling in our lines, and we're talking to our buddies, and everybody's trying to, scope each other out. Like, who are these other kids from other schools? All they're from where? And there's these different moments where some of the kids are more popular, whatever.
Right.
Blah, blah. That was me, by the way. So, no, I'm kidding. But I think it's really neat, though. And I think I noted this in my notes that I write every chapter, that Beauxbaton shows a lot of respect for their headmistress.
Yeah, they do.
As she walks by, they all kind of, they don't sit until she sits.
Right. The 3 headmasters enter the room. They stand up, and it becomes clear they stand up for their headmistress because when she sits down, they sit down.
Exactly.
Wow, you could have said that in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Guys, picture this.
5 minutes later.
Picture this. They stand up when she enters, and the whole time, they remain standing.
So
as she walks by.
Give us a play-by-play, right? How did they stand up exactly?
This is how it went down. Okay.
5 minutes later, Fleur and Bill are still talking about how Beauxbaton students just respectfully stood up for their headmistress. All right. Anyway, you'd mentioned here that there is some foreshadowing that later on we'll see some bad behavior towards Fleur when she shows up to improve her English and to maybe court Bill Weasley.
Yep.
And Ginny, right? Yeah.
Hermione and Ginny, though, they don't like Fleur.
They don't like her. No.
And I don't blame them. Fleur is nice, but the way she sometimes communicates her distaste for things, it's not very empathetic.
Yeah, no, she's very I don't know. She's kind of got just a different standard and a different set of expectations, and doesn't really want to, I don't know. Yeah. There's something, but she changes. I feel like she kind of changes a little bit, and she just starts off this way. And
again, the way her hospitality when they all need refuge during the war and stuff, it's great. I mean,
yeah.
They host lots of people for a long time.
She's here to represent her school right now and to come in and do her thing. So
also, she wants to be champion. She wants to show people that she can rule
this tournament. Yeah. And she can. And she does.
Does not.
She doesn't. I meant to say, let's go over real quickly though one of the funnier jokes in this chapter. How do you say this again?
Bouillabaisse.
Bouillabaisse.
Probably in French you say it different.
Bless you.
Gesundheit.
Yeah.
In French you probably pronounce it a little more sophisticated. I'm not sure, but
so this is when Fleur comes over to ask for the whatever this is. It's some dish, right?
A traditional provincial fish soup originating in the port city of Marseille.
Yep, I knew that. And Fleur wants a bite. She wants a bit, and as she walks over, what's really funny about this is actually that she asked for this, and wait, who's asking? Is it Fleur? Does he say bless you to Fleur?
No,
to Hermione. Right. Okay.
Because before she even comes over,
he asked what this is.
Yeah, they look at the different dishes and they have never seen this before.
That's right.
And she was in France. We actually remember that this is mentioned in the book when she was in France on vacation, sending letters to Harry, didn't she?
Yeah. Correct. Well, so what's funny about it is that it seems like it's a dish that is not that's if you're from France you would really like, and you think that it's like, oh, it's really yummy and it's good.
Yeah.
Whereas they all think it's gross.
Yeah.
And what Ron goes directly to afterwards to eat is what, black pudding or blood pudding, something like that.
Yeah, black pudding. Yeah.
Black pudding, which is traditionally not yummy.
No, not
food.
yummy to a lot of people either.
So
Yeah.
they would say that's disgusting.
Right.
What are you doing?
But most
Why
of the
are
time
you
it just
eating
looks
that?
like that. But if you try it, sometimes it can be.
Oh yeah, for
pretty
sure.
Good.
For sure. I think that's just the whole point when different regions and cultures and groups of people come together and they have their food. They're like, this is great. And you're like, that is gross. Like they're used to their thing, right? You know? So, I mean, it's like people trying, Pepsi when they're used to Coke. It's like
exactly the same thing.
You know, my dad, we were like, hey, all they have is Pepsi here. He's like, that's disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it was a struggle to find Pepsi in Germany for your dad.
yeah. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, go ahead.
Question, what is the craziest dish you have ever tried? Like exotic food?
Exotic food? I don't know. I mean, I had haggis. I mean, had that in Scotland.
Pretty
that
good,
was
right?
Great. I love a good Scottish breakfast. Like we had too many.
We did.
And we've even said if we go back, like, we've got to be careful.
Yeah.
Because you could have it every day. I could have it three times a day.
I know.
So good. So good. I'm thinking about it right now. People are like, that's exotic. But, yeah, they actually won't sell haggis, though, here in the States.
Because it's not safe.
It's not safe, you guys. It's exotic. So anyway, but yeah, I guess other foods that I've had that are exotic. I'm not a real adventurous food person, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't even tell you. What would be an exotic food? What about you? What's something?
I remember just because it didn't fit for me at all. I've had, noodle soup, like traditional Asian noodle soup, like a big, no, wait, like a big bowl of ramen, right?
Yeah.
In Korea, they literally serve iced noodle soup. Like, how you drink your iced coffee? They put ice in there.
That's crazy.
And it's cold in like a stainless steel bowl.
That's awesome, actually.
I didn't get it. Julia got it, but I tried it a little bit, and she was like, "Oh, it's actually pretty good."
Was it good? Yeah. Did you when you tried it?
It was okay, but to me,
cold?
just soup cold doesn't go together. That was exotic for me.
Yeah.
And we had, other Asian dishes, but I don't know. Mostly we stuck to what we know. I had octopus. It's pretty good, actually.
I've actually had iced soup. I'm gonna go ahead and be honest.
You drink it every day, yeah.
Well, yeah, I drink that. But I mean, like growing up, sometimes you were just in a hurry, and the vegetable soup was in the fridge. Well, this was in the fridge. We had a really cold fridge, and you know how at the top it rises and all that, like the fat and stuff that's in like the soup or whatever, like it rises and it's this like it's solidified on the top and it's gross and no one would eat it. Sometimes you're in a hurry and you just gotta dip in there. I know, I probably grossed everybody out right now. I remember one time running to a tournament and I was just like, I just wanted a couple bites. Just a couple bites on the run. I was like, 15 years old. And we were like going from church to this, to that, had baseball practice, had to go to the tournament, had to drive my sister somewhere. I was 15, so I wasn't driving. But yeah, it was a crazy time. So.
Wow.
Anyway, back to the chapter and moving on from cold soups. I got a quote here for you guys. Wow. Did he really say that?
He does.
Did he really say that? Quote, they don't make them like that at Hogwarts.
I mean, that's what Ron says.
What a bad boy.
Fleur returns to her table and he's like, well, she's a Vila, clearly. He notices, he can't hold it together when she's around. Like, they don't make them like that at Hogwarts. I mean, Hermione sits right next to them. What an idiot. Sorry.
What an idiot. He's an idiot. Well, he is an idiot. And I think it's really, I like to be optimistic and say he's focused on the Vila magic part. And he's just like, that's not something like Vila was their mascot. Yeah. Well, no, wait, that was actually the mascot for for Bulgaria.
Bulgaria, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Interesting. So Victor kind of knows how to put up with that kind of stuff. All right, anyway.
He's not interested in her.
Yeah. But yeah, Ron, come on. I mean, he says some stuff that is just, I have to say, this is, it's written in a way that's relatable because you're like, that is, not that we're trying to glorify it or whatever, but like I hear it every daggone day, you guys. I've heard it for 10 years. I heard it growing up. I've heard like, and it's not excusable or anything, but I just literally, I'm like, what is wrong with these kids? And I'm like, I don't even step in the hallway anymore. I'm like, you're supposed to be on hallway duty, Mr. Kirk. Well, guess what? I'm not turning in 20 kids for every stupid. I mean, boys and girls.
That's what I was gonna say.
Unbelievable.
On both sides, they talk like that, and they think it's funny, whatever.
They think it's funny, and I've always there's a time.
Don't internalize that.
Right. I've said there's a time where kids gotta grow up, and you got to start dropping those consequences on them to say like, guess what? It may be kind of funny, and you may think that you can just say rude things, but yeah, Ron's ridiculous. He said this happens a lot with Ron actually throughout the series, which I mean, it takes you back to a moment when, I don't know, you didn't have a filter and you were really less worried about different things in the world. You didn't know what was going on. You didn't understand stuff. And it is kind of this nostalgia moment. Not it's not great or anything. I'm just saying that like he's
also
funny.
He grew up around
funny.
5 other boys.
Yeah.
Maybe that didn't help. I don't know.
He's just unashamed about his fanboying of like, Krum and Fleur now.
And his future sister-in-law.
Right. Yeah. He does.
Think about it, yeah.
Crazy. All right, they do though decide to bring in some extra chairs at the front of the at the up. So they got
Staff
one
table.
one for Madam Maxine, and they've got one for Karkaroff.
Right.
But we also have one up there for Ludo Bagman and
Correct.
Barty Crouch Senior.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So things are getting real serious. We're starting to kind of explain what's going on, and the kids are, I think it just raises the excitement around this year to see all these other extra adults, important people up at the table, and, really what's happening.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
Dumbledore introduces them to everyone.
Right.
And the applause is definitely louder when it comes to Ludo. Probably he's well known, and also somewhere it said like he's winking at students here and there, like.
Oh, he's cheering. Yeah, he's more.
Like, oh yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Right.
He's like
he's a showman.
kind of a Lockhart-ish guy.
Right.
But not really.
Okay. You said you wanted to note here, like, just a description from how Filch.
I think it's awesome.
Presents the Goblet of Fire.
Listen to this. Okay. So Dumbledore explains a little bit about how they're going to be the judges, the headmasters, as well as Ludo and Barty. And then he says, the casket, then, if you please, Mr. Filch.
Yeah.
And Filch, who had been lurking unnoticed in a far corner of the hall, now approached, it's like his moment, now approached Dumbledore carrying a great wooden chest encrusted with jewels. It looked extremely old. A murmur of excited interest rose from the watching students. Dennis Greavy actually stood on his chair to see it properly, but being so tiny, his head hardly rose above anyone else's. The instructions for the tasks the champions will face this year. The description is over.
Okay.
I just wanted to
read the rest of the chapter for us, will you?
I just wanted to read how Filch was lurking in the darkness with that casket.
Yeah.
And then he opens it. Actually, I wanted to read that. I'm all over the place. But hey, I'm the editor, so Dumbledore goes on, and he presents the impartial judge that will choose the champions. It's the Goblet of Fire. Dumbledore now took out his wand and tapped 3 times upon the top of the casket. The lid creaked slowly open. Dumbledore reached inside it and pulled out a large, roughly hewn wooden cup. It would have been entirely unremarkable had it not been full to the brim with dancing blue-white flames.
Yeah. Well, so a couple interesting things about this, okay?
Yeah.
Cool that Filch is lurking over there, and he does have his moment, which is great. I wonder what the other students kind of thought. Who is that?
Yeah. Oh, you mean like the Durmstrang?
Yeah, I guarantee Fleur spit out whatever that thing she was. What is going on? That scary man just came out of nowhere.
I know, with the casket.
With the casket. What? And I love that they describe it as a casket. We think of death, actually.
I know.
Right? And you're like, whoa. Now, interesting. A couple questions here. I have, whenever I read something in the series or I kind of learn a new bit of information, it's it's present in my mind.
Yeah.
And so when I hear a term or a word associated with a new piece of information I learned, I try to make a connection. And so it's going to seem a little bit disconnected, but it will make sense in just a second. When this tournament, I think, is interesting, it's the Triwizard Tournament. It's been held between, well, this wouldn't make sense then, I guess. Maybe there's another one. Okay, what I'm getting to is it has all these different jewels on it, right? It's actually on the actual casket.
Right. The
And
cup itself is pretty lame.
It's wooden. It's lame. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can go ahead and say it. There's nothing really to it except for the blue flames coming out, and
Yeah.
they make it look a little bit cooler in the.
Yeah,
they make it
for
look a
sure.
little bigger and a little bit
Yep.
more. I think just better in the film, but the idea here is that it's covered with, I think, protections, and I think protective gemstones, or jewels, or whatever you want to call them. And
Yeah.
the idea where I came up with that was the idea that when Dumbledore sends Newt to America, the Horned Serpent has that jewel on its forehead that has the power of invisibility and the power of flight. And so I just imagine that there are other jewels and other things that maybe, because this would be a very powerful magical item in the wizarding
Yes.
world, and like the schools would not want this stolen, and this would be important to keep locked up and to have extra protections around it and all those different things. So yeah, only when it comes out would it be interesting for, I guess, where it would be its most vulnerable is when it comes out and the
Yes.
headmasters have permission to take it out or whatever. And so the other question I have is like, where is it kept and stuff? So
Right. Where's it kept? Where did it come from? How did Dumbledore get it? That's what my first thought was. Is it actually being used every time to select the champions? Or is that something Dumbledore came up with for this round? Turns out, and get this, on the wiki page in the history section, it says apparently it was crafted sometime during the Middle Ages. By 1994, the Goblet of Fire had served as a means of selecting champions for the Triwizard Tournament ever since the contest's establishment. Source for that is Hogwarts Legacy.
Wow. Hogwarts Legacy.
It's credited as the source for this statement. Don't know.
There must have been something. Somebody must have
when they
said
say
something.
that, but I think it's interesting
Side quest.
because you were talking about having a Triwizard Tournament in the next Hogwarts Legacy game. How
Yeah.
cool would that be?
That would be very cool. Yeah, it's a 700-year-old tournament, and you go back and try to figure out when that is. I actually know there's a YouTube video, great one. You guys go check it out if you want to. Seamus Gorman actually does a who created the Goblet of Fire, which is interesting. He kind of breaks it down, and I would just go ahead and, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and spoil the theory. It's been out there for 6 years. Part of it is, I don't know the full thing, but there's in the Tales of Beetle the Bard, right?
Yeah.
There's one of the tales is like the wizard and the hopping pot or something. One of the, like, it's a hopping pot or cauldron or cup. It's, I don't know. He goes through, he breaks down like all these different people that powerful wizards and witches around that time, who they could be, who would know how to make an item like this, and he kind of connects it to the Potters in some way, one of their ancestors.
Oh.
Yeah. And he thinks one of the ancestors that we see in that story is actually one of Harry Potter's ancestors. I don't have it in front of me or anything. I just watched it years ago, and I thought it was really cool. I think it's an interesting idea. But I do wonder where it's kept, and I wonder where, like, does the winning school get to keep it until the next tournament?
That'd be kind of cool.
Roll it out, like, did the other schools have to bring it? Like, was the last champion a Durmstrang champion? And they said, all right, we'll bring the Goblet of Fire.
That'd be crazy, though. They would have had it for over 100 years.
Yeah, but it's...
I would think it's kept maybe at the Department of Mysteries.
Yeah, could be, but it's just you have different countries, right? That have you have three different
right.
countries,
Yeah, it's
and
the British Ministry.
I think it's something with the schools that they would want to keep, because that's a lot of times with a certain trophy or a relic.
Yeah.
It's like the winning school gets to keep it, and the last one to have won it has it, and it's their job to protect it.
Right.
And they would take it very seriously, and that's why I think the gemstones on it have some sort of extra protective powers, maybe. So.
Oh, would you trust Karkaroff protecting this thing for 100 years? Well, it wasn't Karkaroff alone, obviously, but
Right. Yeah.
it's crazy.
But it's pretty cool. Okay, now we have, so let's talk about how Dumbledore explains how the winner is determined, and he basically says that it's this impartial judge and that you can submit your names into the Goblet of Fire, and it will choose tomorrow. You have 24 hours.
Right. I always was the impression that it's longer, but maybe it's because of the movie. But it's only there for one day.
Which I think is smart because actually I'm about to read you some thoughts and ideas on how people could have easily gotten their name into the goblet if they had more time to think about it. I think the students just have 24 hours and they have to quickly figure out ways to try to get around that age line, and he didn't want to give them more time.
Right, that is smart.
Yeah. But yeah, he just kind of goes on to talk about how each school will have a winner and how they submit their name on a piece of parchment. And he really talks about the consequences too. Be sure that you actually want to submit your name to this because it's very dangerous. And once you do, you're like obliged to continue. You must continue forward as a champion for your school. So
yeah, it's not like in the movie we get the impression that it's Barty Crouch who says that, but it's actually Dumbledore who, before they even enter, says no, you can't get out of it if you enter your name, and it's chosen. Right,
exactly. You have a question in the doc here that I think is important. I want to kind of talk about, like, when all the murmurings and the questions are coming up among the students about who would be a good champion and who should be submitting and who's going to win from other schools. There's a moment where George is talking to Hermione, and I think, what does she say? Something to the effect of like, we
haven't learned it. It's good that underage wizards can't enter because she feels
enough.
Like we haven't learned enough yet.
Right. And George says, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
To Hermione.
Speak for yourself.
Which makes you think?
I think the people, as the students would say, that, don't sleep on them, right? Or whatever, however they put it. It sounds awkward when I say it because I'm just like that. Kirk, never say that again. All right. Got it, dude. No problem. But don't, I don't know, just we need to give them more credit because they are genius.
Yeah, the twins. Yep.
Yeah.
My question was, do you think one of the twins would have made a good champion for Hogwarts, like Fred or George?
Yes, I think both would have. And I think it's probably difficult for the cup to pick a twin.
Yeah.
An identical twin. I think it would probably be difficult to do.
Yeah.
It might, I don't know. I really don't know how that works, That would be trippy.
I would have loved to see that, actually.
Because you have to pick one. And it's like they're...
Either Fred or George, I would have loved to see
I'm not saying they're the same.
How they would have solved all the different tasks. Because you feel like they are very creative and they would put their own spin on it, and maybe even when they feel confident, make it funny, look funny, or... Yeah, it would have been really entertaining to watch them.
Yeah, it would have been. It almost like going at the task with different humor and sort of like, look how easy we can do this. But then there's moments of seriousness. It's like, wow, you almost got scorched there. Like, watch out. But they're with their friend Lee Jordan, and they're making it really, hey, we'll split this. We're going to make a potion, and we're going to get in, and we'll split the winnings.
I wonder if they thought about making their business together with Lee Jordan, and something happened, and then they decided it's just them. Sometimes making business with friends can be difficult.
Yeah. Does he continue on at school? And they split out, and I think...
Good question. What happens to Lee Jordan?
Yeah.
Does he continue? I think so.
I love thinking about that group of kids, though, and like what they're doing, and then just the fact that even as Ron came into the Great Hall or wherever it was, maybe it was during the... Yeah, I don't know where it was, but he asked a third year or something.
Yeah.
Just a random Gryffindor student.
Yeah.
Right? And he's just asking, and there's other kids around. It's just always cool when they mention these other students. Now, you actually brought up an interesting point because you are a master of languages. And you were like, you thought it was interesting that they all spoke English, right? That that basically everyone from Durmstrang and from Beauxbaton.
Yeah, and I mean not to the Hogwarts kids, but to each other. Because we see Karkaroff asks Krum, he still doesn't feel very well after the dinner, and asks if he wants mulled wine, which is kind of cool. What? But he asks him in English, and then also tells Polyakov, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, you disgusting boy.
Yeah, tells him off because he asks him also in English, like if he could have some wine.
Yeah.
And both Durmstrang and Beauxbaton, they get, I mean, it kind of makes sense because both schools, aside from Hogwarts, get students from different countries, as we read last time. That, for example, Beauxbaton also takes students from Netherlands, and they, even though they might learn French in some parts, but they have Dutch as their native language. So, and same with Durmstrang, if they take all the Scandinavian countries, they each have their own languages. Like Sweden has Swedish, Finland has Finnish, and Norway has Norwegian, Danish, German. They could be 5 different languages. So they have to have a common language, and why not English?
Yeah.
It's contradicting because later on Fleur says she's coming to England, to work here and get a job to improve her English. Of course, that's not true because she just wants to come to be around Bill.
Yeah, but I think you're not assuming that all of them come and they have perfect English and they go into these schools or whatever either.
No, it'd be interesting because I bet a large group of students speaks French to each other in Beauxbatons. But there is some students who just either their French is not great or the French kids' English is not great. So there is definitely already some sense of internationality. Yeah. Yeah.
Or, business language, English is the business language, whatever kind of thing. Or there's just magic and they all can use magic and they figure it out.
It just made me wonder. Yeah.
Right. And it's an English book written for an English audience. Yeah.
That too. But we're also trying to
trying to stay in the magical world, guys. Okay, what's going on? So you have you've noted here twin goblet scene.
Just that the twins are trying to put their name in, and it's actually not just them, it's also Lee Jordan, but Lee Jordan doesn't even get to the goblet because the twins already get kicked out of the circle before Lee Jordan can even follow them. Also interesting was that Durmstrang and Beauxbatons students, first I was like, whoa, they all put their name in, and then I'm like, yeah, of course, because that's why they came. Yeah, they are already pre-selected, so they will all enter the tournament.
Right.
There's no student who's younger. Ron even asks, what happens if they're not chosen? Are they even staying here? And of course they are to support their champion. But,
right. Yep.
And you had a great question with the twin scene. Yeah. So you were wondering what type of magic is that age line made of, right?
Yeah, and why did the aging potion not work? I mean, if it's, what does an aging potion do? Does it age your physical body and not your essence?
Like your cells, are they aged
momentarily? And then what is the line sort of interpreting? Now, an interesting thing is, could you use this out? Probably, they probably use this at certain areas
establishments.
Around I guarantee in the United States they have age lines outside of the 21. This is 21 and
that
older.
That would help a lot.
Age line here in America. Okay, so Ilvermorny students can't come in. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. Some people kind of make fun of this. They say later on, Dumbledore is like, "Did you convince an older student to put your name in?" Because literally, I mean, that's actually what happens.
What you could have done?
It's like, actually, for Harry, somebody literally put his name in.
Yeah.
Older. They walked over, and so the cup doesn't know that it was Harry that put his name in. Harry's name was just submitted. Cedric Diggory could have walked up and actually written down somebody else's name on a piece of paper, anyone's name, and he could have just put it in.
That would have been too easy, though.
No, that's what it could have happened. I mean, flat out. Because Dumbledore...
They would have tried that. Don't you think?
There was not enough time to consider it or something, or they weren't chosen, so we didn't have to deal with it. Maybe some kids did, and they got away with it, and we never really see that.
True.
The other one that was interesting is that you could maybe use Leviosa, and you could actually levitate your piece of paper over the age line, because you could cross it. And the piece of paper could cross, and it could be entered without you actually crossing the barrier. So I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Or you could use your broom and fly over it. But I'm like, oh, that's not really. It's not really good. But yeah, there's a couple of different ideas on how people were able to get by that age line. I thought, oh, Dumbledore just did it real quick. I mean, this wasn't a normal thing. They didn't normally do this. Anyone could enter. The age restriction was because of all the history and the death and why it had been suspended. Right. Clearly somebody died, or maybe it was the judges or whatever. It's kind of a catastrophe, and so they do away with it for a bit. But the age line didn't work very well. There were ways to kind of, I think, get around it, because the idea is it's so powerful that, like, what is it? What kind of magic is he using? Some charm that senses your age, and could you not have an owl go deliver your? Could Hedwig not have just flown in there and dropped the name? Right. Yeah. I mean,
there's so many different ways how you could trick that age line.
And the reason we know, because you could have said, well, since we know that Barty Crouch Jr. actually is the one who physically does create another school, a fourth school, which is so hoodwinked the Goblet of Fire, creating another school. But actually, he could have just put Harry's name in the Hogwarts pool of students And
but he has to make sure that Harry is chosen.
yes, but the whole point is just could somebody defy the age line? And he does, and he creates the other school.
Yeah.
So like, is the age line defense down when he does that, or what's the deal? But anyway, there's a way in which an older student can go in there and just do it for you. So
Wild.
yeah,
Too easy, Dumbledore.
yes, we were like, it's like too easy. Come on, that was kind of
Now, a little side note here. Guess who also tried using an aging potion? There's 2 other students.
Who are they?
And I want to talk about one of them. I thought it was cool because S. Fawcett, it's just Miss Fawcett. We don't know her first name, actually. Fawcett, though, rings a bell because that's one of the families who lives near Ottery St. Catchpole. So we have the Lovegoods, the Diggorys, the Weasleys, and the Fawcetts. And she is also a Ravenclaw, which makes you wonder, maybe she was friends with Luna. They probably knew each
cool.
other pretty well.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit more about her than just this one mention. Quidditch Through the Ages is one of the
Yes.
library books that you can actually read. And she was in that book, and she was due to return it on September 16. So it's just her name in there as a fun fact. But then later on, this is Halloween, she tries to use the aging potion. She actually also grows a beard.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else. And then later on Christmas Eve, Fawcett attended the Yule Ball with Stebbins, and both were docked 10 points by Professor Snape when he caught them together in the Rose Garden.
Golly.
So she's having a good year, I think.
Were they snogging?
Probably.
I love how they call it snogging.
Yes.
Snogging. It's just a weird word for me, but kissing. You know?
Oh, there is. This person is mentioning, or this person, the wiki is mentioning there is an inconsistency. Maybe just Snape doesn't know. But Snape says 10 points from Hufflepuff Fawcett and 10 points from Ravenclaw to Stebbins. Although
Ooh.
Fawcett is referred to as a Ravenclaw by Albus Dumbledore in Chapter 16.
Dang.
And the American edition of the novel amends this error, with Snape taking Fawcett's points from Ravenclaw and Stebbins from Hufflepuff.
Dang. Kind of cool to think maybe there's another set of twins, though. That'd be kind of cool.
Could be.
Some 2 Fawcett's running
Right?
around, you know? What?
That sounds funny.
I know.
Okay, just fun little detail.
Right. Okay, saddest point of the podcast here. We're going to talk about something kind of sad, so sorry about this.
Oh.
But if Angelina Johnson, they're all pumped. Gryffindor is like, let's go. Angelina
want
put
her.
her name in, and she's kind of like embarrassed, like, yeah, okay. And Hermione's like, yeah, good for you. Good job.
Yeah.
Let's go. And it's actually kind of cool to think about. She probably would have been awesome.
I would have loved for her to be champion. Yep.
Yeah, epic. But then we were like, oh, wait. She might have been there at the very end.
Right.
She could have been a Cedric Diggory.
Yeah.
You know? And then you're like, wow, would he... I think you asked the question, would Wormtail have just killed anyone? Like, what if, Draco Malfoy or one of his older Slytherin friends who could actually enter and maybe had connections to a Death Eater family...
Right. They did mention one of the Slytherins, Cassius
Right.
Warrington, or what's his name, I think?
Yeah, it was one of the... I think it was Beater or something. But it's like, is that person a Death Eater? Are they related to... Yeah, Cassius Warrington. Yeah. One of the Death Eaters. Because think about this. If one of the Death Eater families, like when they show up there in the graveyard, if they showed up and like their son or daughter is just laying there dead, killed by Wormtail, they're going to, it's good. They're going to duke it out.
Yeah. We don't know if...
Because they don't know what they don't know what the plan is there yet. And Voldemort might kind of, get them all, I don't know, straightened out or whatever. They might not do it right there in front of the Dark Lord, but I think...
Yeah.
He would lose a follower.
Yeah, for
right
sure.
there. If it was a Slytherin champion who came through, and people would be like, well, would Harry really have taken the Goblet of Fire or the Portkey with
Right. Things could have been totally different because
with a Slytherin. Just if it all played out exactly the same way.
Yeah, just to
would
think
that
about
happen?
it could have been, Angelina or one of the other kids, like
Sad.
whoever was going to be the Hogwarts champion. Yeah, that is sad to think about.
It's Sadric, guys. It's just very
Hey.
Sadric. Sorry, Lottie misread Cedric's name in the chapter. We had cut these things out, right? So I had to bring it back up because it was a Sadric moment.
Borrington, by the way, is going to be member of the Inquisitorial Squad next
Good
year.
for him. You
Yep.
go, Warrington.
Yep.
Jamie. I gotta say, the Slytherin room, common room.
Oh, looks
the
kind
Slytherin
of cool.
room, the Slytherin common room, is cool on Hogwarts Legacy. It's really peaceful, actually, really chill. So now moving on though, some happier things.
Yes.
As Lottie likes to do, she likes to imagine the inside of the Beauxbaton carriage and
Yeah.
what does it look like in there? What does it feel like? How big is it?
Yeah, like how, I mean, they said it's the size of like a house, right? Family size house.
Yeah, it's magically enlarged though. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, could be.
Yeah, there's no way it's not.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're.
Because they have like 12 students in there and Madam Maxime.
Yeah, right.
So they have like their own bedrooms, you think?
Oh, for sure. It's
Okay.
it's a whole little miniature little palace
Okay, yeah.
that they go into. Yeah. It's
Okay,
not just
walk in, open the door, go up the stairs. What does it look like?
I think you go down the stairs actually.
Okay.
So that's in my mind. I thought as you went into the carriage, you would go down.
Okay.
Yeah,
That'd be
it just
funny.
makes more sense to me. I don't know why, but you go in and you go down because again, it's like imagine it's a horse-drawn carriage, and you open the doors, you go in, and then it expands in all areas, up,
Yeah.
down, and whatever. But you go down, and I just see sort of little, I don't know, cubbies or little rooms, ornament kind of.
Yes, ornaments, nice carpet.
Yeah.
Like not everywhere, but like where you would walk, it would.
Yeah. There'd be
Right.
like a red carpet that would lead off into different
Yeah.
hallways. And actually, I think for the headmistress, you walk down, you walk straight across, and then you walk back up another flight of stairs, and then she has her own sort of room
Yeah. Some
up
nice
there to overlook over,
chandeliers.
like it's almost like a square, or rectangular kind of room with different little cubbies, and
Yeah.
maybe even different little levels. It's all
Yeah.
decked out. It's
Yeah,
super
I think so,
magically
too.
enhanced. So
Yeah,
because
and
if
my
they
mind
can
looks
hide
cool.
a whole circus, if they can hide a whole, street from Muggles and stuff, and they can
Right.
do all this different, it's just like, yeah, it's easy to do. So I think, yeah, it's a cool idea to think about what that looks like or the ship and whatnot. Now back to the most important part of the entire book. Everyone's
Yes.
focused on the Goblet of Fire and the Triwizard Tournament. Who cares? Who cares? The Scroots
What are they doing? Tell me.
they're killing each other.
Yeah.
Hagrid, and don't worry, he's got them in separate crates. It's all good. There's about 20 of them left.
Right. I was wondering how many were there when they started?
Don't know,
Were
probably
there,
40.
Like lots of them? Because they
No,
were
there wasn't that
small?
many, but there's a decent amount, and I don't think it's actually ever said. But yeah, it's just like they're down to 20 left, and
Yeah.
and he's concerned. So when they go out, though, this is kind of interesting. They go out to see Hagrid, and they're hanging out with him. And as they do, they notice something different. His appearance has changed. He's got some axle grease in his hair, right?
Yeah.
Lottie was like, what is axle grease? And I had to explain to her the glob that it was. And like he's used that, and then he's adding some cologne. It's a bit much.
Yep.
It's a
He
bit.
doesn't know how to dress up.
No.
Okay.
No, he doesn't. He's never had anybody.
He's just a simple guy who has his little cottage
Yeah.
there, goes to the pub once in a while in town, and
Right,
takes
right.
care of the grounds.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So it's kind of
Anyways.
cute, but also
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm as a teacher in the school. I mean,
Yeah.
we have high school, we have middle school boys coming up that we've got to hygiene, got to talk about.
oh
okay.
yeah.
And we get called into those conversations, which are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. I do make them funny, actually, though. Pretty good at that. Anyway, so yeah, Hagrid's all decked out. He's ready to go, and they're talking about the Scroots, and he's ready to go see Madam Maxine. And well, we don't know that until all of a
Right.
sudden there is this. Does she call him from the window? He almost gives away the dragon secret, right? That's the first time we
Yes.
see him almost give away the first task,
Yeah.
and this is that insider information. People kind of slipping
He's
up. And
getting better
stuff.
though, versus him during Harry's first year.
Yeah. Right.
So he's
and you're right. They do hang out like all day.
I love
until
that
5.
they leave. So at breakfast, they're like, "It's Saturday. What are we gonna do?"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's great because you're just like, no homework. Everyone's excited for the Goblet of Fire or for the tournament to start, and
Right.
they're just like, "What are we doing?" They didn't have time yet. That's the first time they get to visit him, and I think it's so cute that they.
Me too.
I mean, other people would say it's weird that 3 kids hang out with
No.
Hagrid all day, but it's really like described as it's
awesome.
cozy by the fire. They talk about different topics.
He's their friend.
Hagrid is fixing his socks or whatever, and
Yeah.
they're just keeping him company, and Hagrid is their friend. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, I do too. It's awesome. And actually, to be honest with you, in a real life scenario, which is interesting, is that a lot of students who they're going through the day, and it's different because we're not on a campus. We're not like students just come and stay, right? It's a public school. They're coming and going. But in a smaller way, kids go down, they develop a relationship with the school nurse or the secretary or the janitor. Like everybody. We had a really cool experiment one year at school where we laid down the picture and a face as a staff. We laid down everyone's sort of faces, and we said, okay, who all knows who, and who could maybe make a connection to that kid. And it's funny that you bring in even the janitors, like, oh yeah, I talk to that kid all the time, right? A kid that wasn't really getting a connection with a trusted adult in the building, and they had a connection to somebody in the building, right? You want them to kind of feel that way. Yeah. And adults know when they have that kind of connection. When you have that, and it's important to, as a community, do that. I think of like Professor Sprout in this, and I think of like the connection that she has, or Trelawney. Trelawney we talk about a lot, right? That being a teacher that
really cool to think about, because you can picture Lavender and Parvati going up there all the time just to hang out with her, have tea, do some readings and stuff, and so do probably some Hufflepuffs or other kids from other houses go to Professor Sprout to help her with a plan.
Exactly. I think it's really interesting. I think this is gonna probably rub people the wrong way, but I guarantee there's some students who are like, Filch, what's up, man?
Maybe.
Mrs. Norris, here you go. Got a little snack for you. Like, I mean, they're hanging out. Can you imagine?
Maybe a few,
probably some grumpier students.
We say all the time, we see this from Harry's perspective, or maybe extended to the trio's perspective, but then maybe Luna would be one who would be nice to Filch,
Oh, for sure. And how would he'd appreciate that so much?
Right?
Is just having a little bit of compassion from the students, or some understanding. I think that's a big deal. Anyway, I think in Hogwarts Legacy they do a great job too. You actually get to go around and have you get to meet the person who's selling you brooms, right? So like a lot of my students, they have lacrosse gear and sticks, and they know the maker and the guy who's a former lacrosse player, and he's selling them this cool gear, and they have this training program they're doing and all of this stuff, and it's
awesome.
It's really neat. So okay, but moving beyond the Scroots, though, we have this. Well, before we do that, I guess. Well, we have the conversation about Hagrid and with Hermione about Spew.
Right, just real quick.
Quickly, Hermione
is disappointed. I think Hermione hoped that Hagrid would be in because he likes Fantastic Beasts. Well,
magical creatures, Fantastic Beasts. Yes,
right. He has a heart for them.
Yeah, and it has a better understanding relationship with like your centaurs, house elves,
and he says
maybe goblins.
Dragons are misunderstood, right? But when it comes to house elves, he says to Hermione, no, I think you would not do them a favor. They want to take care of wizards. That's what they do. That's what they like. Hermione counters, well, but there's Dobby, and he clearly was happy about it. And Hagrid said, I really don't like his explanation, how he just says, well, there's always I forget what he says exactly. There's always
a weird one.
There's
And the problem, Hagrid's pretty, not simple-minded, I don't want to say that, but he's like kind of, he doesn't think through it. He's not a mind for politics. He's not a mind for these different things. And so he does what Ron does and kind of falls into this is just a given thing. He's not around it. He doesn't think about it. It's not.
Should, though, because he's also a minority. He probably has lots of people who have prejudices against giants, half giants, people who are bigger than most other people.
Right.
And they just assume, they're probably all rude or mean or dangerous.
Right.
And you don't want people to assume that. Even if most of them are, we learn later on, giants are dangerous, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But here's Hagrid, Madam Maxime.
He's one of the weird ones.
Right?
He's one of the weird ones, yeah.
It's odd, but he's one of the odd ones.
Using his words.
Anyway.
It's just disappointed. More on that later. We'll get more just about sort of her struggle and stuff. And I bless her, she's committed, She's not gonna give up.
She's really excited,
Yeah, she's passionate about it, and it'll carry on into her whole campaign for Minister of Magic. But now this is kind of, again, these things are, why is this series so good, and why, like, I think about all the series that you like a lot, and I think about like the Lord of the Rings, for example, and Bilbo. and him wanting comforts of home, and people who just want to be homebodies and stay in their like it's a real thing. You can really relate to. I don't really want to socialize. I don't really want to get out. Do I want that big of an adventure? Now I like to read about it, but I really just want to go walk in my field and daydream about it, right?
Yeah.
And it's relatable, and so you get connected to those characters, and then oh my gosh, then the characters that you relate to go on fantastical sort of adventures, and so there's a relatability to all these characters with school and just going and having homework and that kind of stuff, and then even with Hagrid, you have this sort of like, okay, I can relate in terms of like the idea that I'll just go ahead and say it on the podcast. I mean, the person that you're interested in, love your life shows up. Like, see you guys. I don't even know.
Peace out.
Peace out. I'm gone. Bye. Don't even realize I left you behind.
Nope.
So I thought that was kind of funny because I think most people could relate. Like, oh my gosh, did I just leave my friends like back at the coffee shop and never went back and just went off and courted this girl? So I think it's kind of relatable and funny. But yeah, they're going in and they're like, wow. And Ron is just, again, funny about it. He fancies her, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And they just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you had a question though. So this is all leading into, we go into the Great Hall, and the Goblet of Fire is going to spit out in flame.
Yeah.
The champions who it's going to select. And you said, how does Dumbledore estimate that it takes one more minute?
He says it. After, like, everyone is so excited during the feast, they all stand up on their tiptoes and, like, seeing if Dumbledore is already finished, as if, once Dumbledore is finished, they're going to start announcing it. But then Dumbledore says, the goblet is almost ready to make its decision. I estimate that it requires one more minute. Now, is he joking? Or is he actually like feels or sees the flames, their rhythm have changed, and
he knows. I wonder how they communicate with the Goblet of Fire and how they do start it or initiate the 24 hours and how all of that works. There has to be some sort of instruction manual. Maybe it is written in the ancient runes on the side of it, and it's like,
ancient
make sure you take that class as Hermione does. So maybe that's how he knows to start it and knows when it's the countdown. He just has to figure out, time-wise, when did he start it, when did he not?
Right. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Exactly 24 hours.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So.
And then he takes out his wand and he gives the great sweeping wave with it. At once, all the candles, except those inside the carved pumpkins, were extinguished, plunging them into a state of semi-darkness. The Goblet of Fire now shone more brightly than anything in the whole hall. The sparkling bright, bluey whiteness of the flames almost painful on the eyes. Everyone watched, waiting. A few people kept checking their watches. Any second, Lee Jordan whispered, 2 seats away from Harry. And the flames inside the goblet turned suddenly red again. Sparks began to fly from it. Next moment, a tongue of flame shot into the air. A charred piece of parchment fluttered out of it. The whole room gasped, and guess whose name is on that parchment?
Krum!
Krum! Krum! Krum! Krum! Krum!
Let's go.
Yep, we have Krum, we have Fleur next, and you have a good question about Fleur's selection.
Well, I think if you look at the other, maybe think of it as the other reactions around the room where these, I think it's 2 female students are crying.
Girls, they're girls.
Bawling because Fleur won and got picked and they didn't. Again, they all came to be champions, so this was really important to them to come in and try their very best. But I kind of got the impression that everyone else at Durmstrang seemed to be behind Krum, and they were like, let's go, this is our person. Maybe they were more even, and there was not a lot of distinction between the Beauxbaton students, and they didn't really know who was going to be best among, kind of like Hogwarts champions. I'm not really sure. There's a few names emerging, which I think is cool, sort of like these top contenders are being mentioned, but it's all from Harry's perspective, right?
Exactly.
But I did kind of wonder, was the Goblet of Fire duped by Vila magic? Is it possible that
I don't know
that it had Fleur's name? Maybe as she wrote her name on her piece of parchment, she like maybe gave a little and just puts it in the fire and says, "Here you go." Funny. She used her Vila magic and she like duped and tricked and influenced the goblin. Can you influence it?
Here's something.
It's impartial judge, but
you know how what does the Goblet of Fire remind you of?
A Goblet of Fire. I don't know.
The Sorting Hat.
Okay.
because the Sorting Hat is sort of an impartial judge, right? And the founders created the Sorting Hat. Now, who created the Goblet of Fire? Whoever it was, like with the Sorting Hat, he has a little bit of every founder in him.
Yeah,
Right? A little
yeah.
bit of wisdom of each founder.
Right.
So if you imagine that's how the Goblet of Fire might have been created, he has the wisdom of each of the creators, a little bit of that in him.
Yeah.
And yeah, if that was, you know,
So
were
you're
people
saying-
attracted to females? Who knows?
So are you saying that the creator of the Goblet of Fire could have been witch or wizard? We don't know,
Yeah.
right? But could have been partial, or could have been maybe the creator themselves could have been susceptible
Yeah.
to some Vela charm.
We
right?
don't know.
Could be. Imagine if Ron Weasley grew up and he realized he had ancient magic powers and he could create something, and he creates a Goblet of Fire. Well, it's going to have some of his bias and some of his, his personality. I mean, again, you try to make it impartial and make sure that it's like, that it's good, but there's traces, perhaps of it left over, maybe, and it was fooled by Fleur. And
overall, I don't know.
I don't like to think that way. I think she actually
actually pretty.
She's powerful. She's very powerful, and I think it shows her.
And there is
alone.
theories. Maybe we don't know how much of an effect or impact Crudy had on her performance. Maybe.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe she was actually
being
Harry's
sabotaged.
biggest opponent.
Yeah.
That he had to weaken her so much.
True. That
That's
could
just
be.
what I like to think.
No, that's a good way to look at it. Is that like he had to do a lot of things to kind of get in her path and mess her up or whatever. We might not have seen all those things. Interesting.
But there is one more champion.
Right.
And this is so heartwarming and heartbreaking in the end, but how he's chosen and then how the school reacts to it.
Yeah.
So Dumbledore catches the piece of parchment and says the Hogwarts champion is Cedric Diggory. Ron says no, but nobody heard him except Harry because the uproar from the next table was too great.
Yeah.
Every single Hufflepuff had jumped to his or her feet, screaming and stamping as Cedric made his way past them, grinning broadly, and headed off toward the chamber behind the teacher's table. Indeed, the applause for Cedric went on so long that it was some time before Dumbledore could make himself heard again.
Cedric.
Diggory.
I mean, literally, I would have been losing my mind.
Honestly, had this been a normal year, I feel so bad that Cedric's thunder is stolen by Harry here.
It's the whole reason Puff's play was created, because it's sort of like, how many times are you going to do wrong to this house? I hope if they ever do anything, like if they go back and they do something with the Marauders, or they do something like they continue on with Harry Potter's kids coming back to Hogwarts, I really hope they amp up Hufflepuff, because it needs some respect, because they're amazing. And honestly, the Goblet of Fire truly did choose the correct Hogwarts champion. Harry, like I said earlier, if instead of creating a fourth school, if he would have just put Harry's name in against Diggory's, if Barty Crouch Jr. would have done that, it still would have chosen Cedric Diggory.
Yeah.
And some people might say, well, I don't know, what about the idea that you've got some Voldemort enhanced, or Scarcrux Harry, who has enhanced powers and a special, well, his wand's not special really yet, but the fact that he has this connection and he's the chosen one, would it have picked him as the worthy champion? No. Flat out no. It would have been Cedric Diggory through and through.
Yeah.
So it's my own personal opinion.
Right.
Anyway. Yeah, all right. So there you go, friends.
That's our 3 champions, and there's nothing else to say about it, right?
Right.
No.
I mean, it's just the last bit, which is...
There's champion number 4.
Champion number 4 is Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. Get on up here. Come on down. The price is right.
Harry's called up there, and
how we doing?
Every single head in the Great Hall turns,
which makes you actually kind of sick when you first read it. You're like, whoa, dude, no, why him?
Right?
Like, he didn't do it. He didn't put his name in there. Like, that's messed up.
No, and
this is like not cool in terms of what they're doing to Harry. And
no,
actually, I don't even really agree with Dumbledore's decision.
Nope.
Obviously, because it brought back the Dark Lord. I mean, this is a big mistake and everything. So.
You entered a sacred contract with this piece of magic here. We can't have you sit on the bench until the
I do at least love that
task's over.
they have that conversation, and then later on he says with Snape and McGonagall, this might even just be in the movie, where they have their own separate conversation about should we allow this to continue? Like McGonagall, the devil with Barty and his rules.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
She's just like
the devil with Barty.
Put an end to this, right? And so she would not have allowed it.
Yeah,
she wouldn't have allowed it. But Dumbledore's a risky guy. He's unorthodox, and let's keep a close eye on him.
But he also knows probably more about, like you said, maybe there is some ancient magic connection to the cup, goblet, something that McGonagall doesn't know, something that would happen to the contestant if he or she didn't try to compete. Yeah,
I don't know, though. That makes me kind of... Because then, over the years, you could have, as a joke, put a first-year name in, right? An older student, this is funny. Let's put him in, and then, oh, God, it got chosen. Like, oh, sorry, we were just kidding. Well, no, now the kid has to go compete against the dragon.
Yeah.
And he's dead. Like, terrible. Come on. So there had to be a way to, I think, get around it. But anyway, there we go, friends. Thank you, guys. It's been a long episode. I think next time we will have some more stuff to maybe share on the old Owl Post. Appreciate everybody who is reaching out. But
Thank you
for today, we are, the bathroom break's calling.
I know.
So we got to go, and So
we'll definitely next episode we'll have something to say about Kent and how Lottie's first experience with Kent was, and how your third
don't even know
experience.
Why you put me on the spot like that?
I'm excited. I'm excited to get out. We've been working a lot this summer, so it's a nice getaway too.
Yeah, I'm excited to get out of this chair and go to the bathroom.
Okay.
All right, friends. Hey, thank you guys for hanging out with us this week. Thanks for tuning in to Shell Cottage Radio 94.7 COZY. Hope that you'll join us in the future. We thoroughly enjoy meeting new positive Potter people that don't behave like babbling, bumbling bands of baboons. If you don't miss out on the next episode, then be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review and follow over on social media at fleurandbill.
If you truly enjoy our content, consider supporting our growing wizarding family on Patreon or Apple Premium. You'll find all the links down below. Thank you so much to all our current patrons. We appreciate you to Luna and back. On our next reread episode, we will discuss Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Chapter 17, The Four Champions. So make sure you tune back in next time, and until then, have a great rest of your week. Thanks for joining us in our Shell Cottage today. We know it's not much, but it's home. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's get down to business
to defeat the Dementors.
Okay.
What did Hans say about that song?
What did the Huns think about that song?
No. No. I actually meant like the person named Hans.
The what? Oh, Hans? Hans? Sorry. So, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. What did the Huns think about them? Oh, they probably didn't like it. Oh, they probably had their own song.
Let's get down to business to defeat Mulan. Everyone is discussing potential Hogwarts champions from the different houses, including Sadric Diggory. Sadric? Sad.
That's bad.
Sadric.
So reread, guys. We're going to start calling him Sadric. Sadric Diggory.
Sadric. Okay. Knox.